Okay, I'm gonna get audio going for us here, I promise. See, I'm still figuring this all out. Let's see. Okay, I think we got audio in. Okay, I'm gonna get audio going for us. I did it! Awesome! Go me! I am learning on the fly. Amazing. Okay, so we are live with audio. Hello! Hello, everyone! Don't mind my goofy headset. I do have this microphone here, this big, kind of obscene microphone, and I would love to be using it, but the MacBook Pro that I got, I need an adapter because I hate this about tech. Hands up if you hate this about tech. You get something and, you know, you're happy with it for the most part, and then you upgrade something else, and then all of a sudden you don't have the right cords or whatever, because, you know, they always want to make the new tech obsolete, so you buy the new thing, and I really hate that because this Yeti microphone is from when I had my studio for my marketing agency, and it's all, so that was what, 2019, 2020? Anyways, it drives me crazy. So I am using the goofy little like customer support headset here that I got when I was briefly employed as Shopify. That's a story for another time. But it does look a little bit silly, and you know, sometimes I'll borrow my son's gaming headset, and that also is like massive on my head, but it looks kind of a little less dorky. But let's be honest, I am 36 years old. I am young in appearance, but that is my true age, okay? And being so, I don't really care if I look goofy wearing this headset. I don't really try to look cool, although I do have aspirations for the studio, all right? So if you're watching live right now, I'm going to check for your comments. If you're watching live, kudos to my evolving setup here. In the same amount of time it's going to take me to figure out how to live stream consistently and do great live streaming content, I promise it's coming. I'm figuring it all out. This studio is going to look amazing. And that is for me, largely. Like, I have always wanted this. I have been trying to create this for myself, both the space in my life to have a space where I can make content and time where I can make content. So it has been a work in progress for at least 6 years, because what keeps happening to me, and this can be life sometimes, and we all probably get it, but I will start the process of trying to do this, and then obviously like the kids need attention and my business grows, and then I need to focus on that. And so the creative stuff that I really want to do, which is create content, it doesn't happen as much as I'd like. It's hard to prioritize it. And the reason why it's so hard to prioritize it is nobody's fault. It's like having other things kind of just jump in front. And I am at the point now where I'm like, I really want to be doing this in the way I've always envisioned I want to be doing this, or I don't want to be doing it at all. So that includes making video content. It includes live streaming. It includes producing these new upcoming panels. All of these things that I'm finally being able to do and I'm making room for is kind of just like a radical like rearranging of my priorities to be like, I feel so drawn to actually put myself out there and talk about things with depth and substance, and get into it. And I've always wanted to do that the whole time, but you know, other things just kept jumping in front. But where we're at now, especially with this community, especially with the things that have happened now in this community over the last couple of months, it feels urgent, important, and like it was what's going to give me the most like excitement and joy to be doing with my life and my time. And I've obviously been like moved by spirit to continue like pushing forwards with PsyChicks, even though I'm having a massive like rearrangement. It still feels right, especially when I'm like in a state of meditation, in a state of prayer. It still feels right to do this, but it's like you have to do it with more depth. You have to do it with more substance, because what's happened, right, where we should be uniting and finding our common ground, there's still divisions and there's still divisiveness happening. And as somebody who's created this now, I'm responsible for my little, it's a community, my little hub that I've created on the internet, this space, to make sure that first it has substance and depth, that it's not just, you know, a like endless Facebook scroll hole, but also to do something with it now. It's a gift, it's a platform, it's an opportunity, And so I will be streaming, I'm streaming right now, but I will be streaming and I will be producing content with substance. And I will be getting into the true depths of things and talking about things other than just marketing, because that's what you kind of know me for. And that's what I'm very strong in, because that's my background in my career. And it's taken some time to find my voice and actually feel confident in talking about my own metaphysical interests, my own gifts, my own beliefs, because I was afraid. So if you're watching right now and you have, some resonance with that, let me know. Like, I have had fear, because I've had fear of, and I know it's like we're already doing weird stuff together, but I've had fear of being isolated or separated from a group that has become precious to me, which is like the spiritual, metaphysical / new age community. I have had fear of being rejected from that community if I say the wrong things or say too much. I want to know if anybody relates to that. I just want to check that we have comments, if we have comments, because I'm actually on a sub app that doesn't show me like what's going on with Facebook there. So I have to go in, I have to use a second device to check comments here. There's some people watching right now. I'm just going to turn the volume down. Logan says hi. I say hi, Logan. I like to flirt with Logan, okay? He's just adorable, and he's my friend. And he's been my friend online for a long time, so there's a lot of like pre-context there. Obviously, I'm happily married, but if you get a chance, you should all flirt with Logan as well. All right, so like I did last time, and I still owe people stickers. I'm going to hold up a sticker. If you'd like a sticker, comment. I'm going to send out forms today to get some stickers mailed out. I can't promise you it'll be there tomorrow because we have a postal strike here in Canada, and I'm going to have to use just the regular snail mail with stamps and stuff to get these out. They're just going to go in a regular envelope. And so I can't say they'll get there tomorrow. There's a postal strike, but there will be stickers coming out to people. And I also have a bad habit of filling out all of the envelopes, putting the stamp on them, putting them in a box in my car to mail them out, and then not mailing them out, driving around with my car for like a week or so too. So there's no timeline on when you'll get your sticker. But I have, over the last 4 to 5 years, sent out hundreds of these stickers. And so I am good for it. I'm good for getting people stickers. I just can't guarantee that that's like an immediate thing. But if you are watching right now and you want a sticker to stick on something, I've got all sorts of stickers. You might not get this one. I might run out of this one, and you might get a different design. But I have tons of stickers to send out as merch. So for you for watching this live stream, for listening to me yap right now, if you'd like a sticker, comment below. I'd like a sticker please, like whatever, whatever code word. Logan, do you want me to send you a sticker that you can put in your big rig? I don't know if you guys know this. Logan's a truck driver, so that's what he does full time, and then behind the scenes he is also a multifaceted entrepreneur, and he does like voice acting, and he has a podcast where he talks about different stuff than the love and light, normal like spiritual awakening stuff. He gets into the depth of it, and I really like resonate with some of the stuff he puts out there, and I wish I had the patience to put together the kind of presentations he does to explain a lot of these things, and there's some great content on his YouTube channel, Wizard Factory. So that's my last plug for Logan. And yeah, moving on from that, I also want to plug a upcoming panel. Okay, I lied, because I also have to plug Logan for being part of this panel. Logan is going to be in a panel along with Joe, who is another brilliant member of our collective. Everybody who's on these panels, by the way, are active members of the PsyChicks Collective. And I'm bringing you some really great talent. And I am a wonderful magnet for good, depthful, soulful, genuine, authentic, heart-led people, okay? I am a magnet for that. They see it in me, I see it in them. And so the type of people who are currently in our collective and joining our collective and active inside of our collective, I can only describe them that way. People with depth, substance, brilliant character, full personality, authenticity, genuinity, and are very heart-led in the sense that they want to help people wake up, but not just wake up, but expand their minds and their awareness, both awareness of this world, but also self-awareness. The types of folks that you're going to find on our website, our PsyChicks directory, are unique, creative, artistic, expressive, and expansive. They have amazing, unique talents and abilities, but how they want to use those is typically not just, I want to make money doing this, but they have these visions for how their gifts can be shared, whether it's making a difference in one individual's life or the lives of many people. And that's why they're in the collective. And if that's you, if I'm describing you and you're feeling called to maybe join us, we are moving into a new era of PsyChicks right now, where that is going to be the bar. That is where the bar is set. If the things that I've just described about authenticity and having depth and substance and really wanting to use your gifts in a positive way to make an impact and further your own soul's purpose, but do so in an impactful way that's going to benefit, let's be honest, benefit humanity as a whole, again, on a one-to-one basis or a one-to-many basis, that's who we're looking for. That's all I want. Those types of people. I don't want anybody who's like, oh, I just, read cards once in a while to make a few bucks. Like, we have to evolve beyond that. Not that that's been really the main kind of vibe of PsyChicks, but when people join PsyChicks, sometimes people in the past would join just for the opportunity to make money through this group. And that's fine because it is an advertising opportunity. Like I say, my casa, you casa. You can use this platform to share what you do and what you're doing out in the world. And I've not kept it like you must be this type of person to join. So we did attract a lot of beginners and a lot of people who were really looking for the opportunity to make money through us. And as much as I still want to have the opportunity, and you can make great money just being a member of the PsyChicks Collective, especially if your offers are set up. And a lot of our members who have their shit together business-wise do very well as using our platform as an advertising opportunity. I have definitely finally kind of connected in my mind how it's so important to not just give people such a platform who are not yet ready for holding that responsibility of that platform, and not platforming people on our website that gets thousands of hits per month to platform them for opportunities that they're just not quite ready for. So although we haven't really increased the price yet, although I've added some steps in the onboarding process, and the price will be increasing in the new year. So it still costs the same to join the collective. My bar from what we are going to bring in as far as talent has been raised, and I'm going to talk more openly about the reason for that and why that is, because it's been really confronting to me what happens when you're just kind of lackadaisical. What's that word? I wanted to impress you all with my impressive vocabulary just then, and I just dropped the ball. But exciting times, and if I've described you, if you are genuine, authentic, creative, empowered, want to have depth and substance, want to actually interact in a community and as part of a professional collective, I want you to talk to me, and we will get you into this PsyChicks Collective to get in. I'm imagining in my visualizations of this for manifesting is that I have a bus, and I'm the bus driver, which is maybe a little bit scary because in my real life, I am not known for being the most focused driver. However, in this case, I am driving this bus, and I'm a good driver driving this bus. I know where we're going, I know the destination, and I am stopping and I'm inviting people in who are waiting at bus stops to get in with me, to go on this journey with me. It's kind of a little magic bus, and we are going forward together, and I want to invite the right people to join us on that bus. So it's a fun trip, it's a fun adventure, and we're all happy with where it's going and what's going on in the bus, as well as once we get to the destination, and that it's lucrative and abundant and exciting and fun, and more than just a marketing thing that you do for your business, but you're actually part of a true community, true collective. That's the vision that I'm holding, that I've spent the last couple of months developing in my mind, that I am kind of taking people with me on this magic bus adventure. And again, in this scenario, not so much in real life, I probably would hire a driver in real life so I could just hang out with you guys in the seats. But in the real world, that's one thing. But in this vision, I am the driver, and I am opening the door and saying, hey, get on, get in, let's go together. And I'm so excited for it. I feel actually inspired, and I didn't realize how kind of I mean, partially it was just I took the summer off, right? So I was a little bit disconnected before September from my business because I was really just kind of floating while I was hanging out with my kids this summer. And I spent a lot of time in the backyard, becoming familiar with the nature and the environment and the landscape and basically like hanging out in my backyard, wearing my bathing suit, putting it on my bathing suit body, sitting in a kiddie pool with my kids. And that's how I spent my summer largely. And, taking some plant medicine and keeping my house tidy and trying to kind of make this new house that we just moved into feel more like our energy versus the energy of the people who lived here before. If you've ever moved and you're sensitive to energy, you know what I'm talking about. So really working on that. And so that's what I did for the last 3 months of summer, and then we hit September, and I'm like, okay, back to business as usual. Well, that didn't happen because, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I didn't think that this was going to take over my life. I shared some thoughts on that, and I said we should pray, and I was praying for unity and healing, and that we stop being, divisive about, the left and the right. I was trying to be, a center kind of moderate, being like, let's just come together through this. This is enough is enough. We need to focus on the actual battle, which is the metaphysical battle between the light and the dark. That's what I tried to express. And yet I felt like my whole world fell apart after that. I ended up very invested in trying to not just again, I'm not defending the politics of Charlie Kirk, but what Charlie Kirk, speaking about his spiritual beliefs, represented in the world, and how free speech, first of all, is very vital. It's very important that people are able to express themselves without fear of being shot. You can criticize people, and I'm completely open to anybody who was just broadly critical of some of the things, sound bites or the whole scope of what is Charlie Kirk. But I wanted to defend him, and I wanted to continue to double down on defending him because I also believe with his common religion, so Christianity being a very common and popular religion, he being murdered in broad daylight for largely speaking about this, to share his beliefs. And you may or may not know this, but they're also murdering Christians in, I want to say Nigeria, and I really hope that I'm getting that right and my brain's not dropping the ball on me. There's, obviously I might make a mistake there, but I'm pretty sure that it's in Nigeria, correct? That they are murdering Christians. So it's not like this is not happening. And then we also have what's going on in, Gaza. And I don't want to get into whether it's Israel versus Palestine thing, but again, people of differing spiritual beliefs are fighting. There is an actual war happening. We have major wars as well within Ukraine and Russia. And as far as my understanding, that also has some religious background in how that is coming to be, with Russia being a largely Christian country. So I'm not here to just say we need to all defend Christianity. What we need to defend is people out there sharing their spiritual beliefs, and wars are happening, and they have been happening, and they've been happening for a long time over religion, over groupthink, and then here in the Western, countries, we do definitely have this political divide. We have this conservative versus liberal. On the surface, that's what it looks like, but beneath that, it's actually something else, and it's been manipulated to have us fighting against each other, to create this chaotic feeling, to create this feeling of fight or flight, and everyone's nervous system is dysregulated no matter what side you're on. Everyone is suffering through this together, and it is by design. And I articulated that back in September, and some people could only hear the words Charlie Kirk and could only associate it with Charlie Kirk, conservative influencer, founder of Turning Point, helped get Bad Orange Man elected, and therefore you defend him, therefore you enemy of me. Some people in this community who you go to their profiles, they're no longer here, so you won't be able to go to their profiles, had profiles that said things like a light worker and described themselves as safe people, described themselves as healers. I was shocked to discover that as the behavior, not just that they were leaving. I mean, you're welcome to leave anytime. You're welcome to exit spaces that no longer serve you. You're welcome to like set a boundary with yourself and go, I don't want to even consume this, or want to protect myself from this, or I want to do whatever. Everyone's got free will, and that's part of the beautiful gifts that God's given us, the free will to exit from me. But I actually then experienced some backlash, some violence, some stirred up anger that I can only describe as, like, first of all, it was shocking because the type of people it was coming from, people who describe themselves in one way or another as enlightened, meaning enlightenment I always assume meant self-awareness, meaning you're treating each other with some consideration of the emotional impact of how your behavior and your interaction is going to be influencing them. So I encountered that by there was just a few people in our collective who exited, who had no more time for me. They accused me of misrepresenting myself. So I've been reconciling about that. Maybe I have somehow misrepresented myself just by not sharing truly the depth of what I think this is really all about. Not intentionally, obviously, but it just, again, at the beginning of the stream, I said it was for self-protection. But the other piece of that puzzle that was so fascinating to me was so many members of our community leaving, and also making sure they're weighing in on their 2 cents. And again, using what are the talking points of the left versus right political rhetoric, or kind of like and I've talked about this, and I maybe we'll do another live stream specifically about this, but also, like, I do acknowledge anybody's, like, institutional religious trauma. Okay, so if, like, you were part of the Christian church and you had to exit that because of harm that happened to you within that, I understand, like, your reactions to these kind of things. I understand, like, why a lot of people, for lack of better terminology, within the New Age spiritual communities have a lot of disdain for anybody in conventional religion, because conventional religion can be institutionalized, therefore it becomes very corporate, and sometimes leaders and influential people in those containers do harm to people. Even the communities as a whole can do harm to people. And in my exploration of that, I feel like it largely comes down to how you come into your spirituality. Because people who are born inside of religion and they're like three generations, 10 generations, 20 generations deep in that religion that's been in them and in their family, they don't look at it the same way as people like myself who had none of that, who had to find spirituality through the path of personal development and end up a bit more eclectic. And they themselves tend to be a little bit more eclectic, a little bit more kind of open-minded and expansive and non-conformist when it comes to the rigid structures of religion. We tend to be very, like, challenging or questioning of anything that's like, you must think this way, you must live your life a certain way, you must follow these kind of rigid rules. So institutionalized religion doesn't really work for us. And I've kind of like summarized it as that, but it can become very like activating, and I use the word activating instead of triggering. It can become very activating to people to be confronted with that, especially if it was the thing that traumatized them, where they were kind of a round circle being tried to be shoved into, say, a triangle their whole life. That's kind of the experience of somebody who is like forced to participate or is trying to participate, but it doesn't work when it comes to religion. And then there's all sorts of institutionalized case by case basis experiences that I understand. Like, I really do understand these things. And so I understand why people would leave the community. I'm not hanging on to anybody going, no, don't leave me, I'll change. The truth is, I never let my true self be known. And that was the consequence of the fear that I talked about at the beginning, the fear of exposing myself too much and then being discluded from a group I really wanted to be participating in a big way. Like, I'm building this thing, I'm doing this mission that's going to have to require people, and people are, like it or not, a resource. And you can look at that from a business perspective of like, your business will not grow unless you have clients and customers. Therefore, people for you are a resource. If you're doing it in a form of community building, well, good luck doing it alone. If you're doing it alone and you want everybody to kind of get in line with you, you are kind of like not going to have the community vibe or energy. You're either going to become some form of authoritarian cult leader, or the opposite is just simply people are not going to get with the program for you. There's not going to be a community because they're going to see that you are like trying to control or impose your will on them. So I didn't want to do either of those things, and being accused of doing those things or being fearful of doing those things at all had me kind of being like, well, what kind of leader do I want to be? And then it had me being very apologetic. Well, I'm going to be a non-present leader. I'm going to be like a non-involved parent. I'm going to be like, here's this playground I built for all of you. Just play, and you don't need to know like why I built it or what I'm doing here. And I understand that. I understand my own role in my own kind of like the backlash, the consequences of that. And they were immense to me. I know Facebook deletes live streams now, and I just kind of let these ones delete. But anybody who saw me in those moments, like crying and like being on Facebook Lives on my phone, just kind of feeling like I've got to like fix this, and then realizing that like there was nothing to fix, that this is happening in the best timing for my greater benefit. Well, you're seeing me a much different me now because I've been motivated in so many ways to fix so many things, to like kind of, there was a mess on the floor, and to kind of like reconstruct what is the vision for PsyChicks, what is that I'm even doing, what should I be paying attention to, what have I evolved beyond and backslid to because of my own activations, my own triggers, things that get me feeling insecure and concerned. And I had to evaluate all of that over the last couple of months. And it's so exciting to be like, oh, I can find my voice through this, or I can actually find courage through this to move through the fears that I had expressed, because they, like that vision, that manifestation of this magic bus going for a drive with other passengers in it who want to go to the same destination, that vision only like could be created with clarity that like, oh, I have to be the driver of this bus. If I'm going to like say, oh, we should get on a bus and we should go to this place together, I'm going to have to talk about it, about where that place is, to make sure the right people are getting on the bus, to make sure people understand the full big scope of what I'm trying to do here. And that's hard. Articulating yourself as a mission-oriented business owner, as an entrepreneur who has a vision beyond just, I'm gonna like sell some skills and or sell a physical product and make a little bit of like money. If you're mission or vision oriented, that you're trying to do something that's not just the business is like that, but it's also trying to make an impact or disrupt or change something in the world, you have to shift that. I mean, I'm new to this. I feel like a baby again, a newborn baby again, with this idea as if it was freshly reborn in me, because I recognize now that it's like, you can only go as far, and I've gotten pretty far being passive about, just letting people just kind of take your thing and run with it, and then making sure that you're not revealing too much of yourself that's going to like prevent any of that momentum. Because that's the thing. If people see that you have like loose reins on it, they will take it and run with it. And I'm not trying to become, again, that authoritarian or that dictator who's trying to control what's happening here. I just thought we were all on the same page, and therefore I didn't have to over-explain myself, and I could let other people get that out there to take care of that part. And in a better world, just because of how I am, and I am a little bit camera shy, and I am having to do a lot of the inner work and some more healing on myself about visibility and like how I show up, everything from how I look to how I speak to the things that I'm insecure about, which are things that I haven't quite figured out yet. Like I'm just figuring out live streaming. I don't know why I feel embarrassed that I don't know how to do everything in the entire world, but that comes from like being raised the way I was raised and having a certain syndrome of perfectionism that causes this to be a problem for me. I struggle to admit that there are things that I don't know, even though there's so many things and so many skill sets, especially on the technical side, that I have developed through my career. When there are things I don't know, I feel embarrassed to admit, or I don't want to go through the phase of being a beginner because I find the growth in that uncomfortable, like we all do. Okay, I'm human, surprise. So working again on my perfectionism and my self-expectations. Like it will bother me if this live stream's not perfect, because that's part of like my conditioning and my makeup, and it's more about like self-care to address the fact that I have these certain things in my personality that like getting back into flow state and being okay with the imperfection and being a little messy and scrappy and just trying to be genuine and authentic and let people also in themselves be genuine and authentic, not holding other people up to ridiculously high standards, which is a flaw of somebody who suffers from perfectionism like I do. We hold people to really high standards and expectations, whether we want to or not, because we're like, well, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, so you should be able to get up here and do it as well. So I kind of had that, and I was like, well, I don't want to be that way and make other people feel intimidated by me either. But at the same time, I'm definitely not a perfect person. And when it comes to technical stuff, there's things I know really well as far as like online business, and that's my comfort zone. And then there's things like this, like live streaming, where I have been slowly but surely trying to figure it out. And finding myself, my voice, and the courage to be articulate about things that are out of my comfort zone that I know well because I've been definitely a student of these things, but I have not had ever to step up to a microphone and have to explain myself to an audience of other people who have knowledge about these things. And I'm talking about metaphysical based topics, and I don't know everything. It's impossible to know everything. Even if you are somebody who's very gifted as a channel, you have a strong connection with God and the collective mind, and you get a lot of downloads. Some people call them downloads. I don't personally call them downloads. I just it's just my way of being. I'm just getting information constantly. But there's things in my intuition that I know I should have done 3 years ago that I just kind of like, oh, that's going to require a lot of growth. And I'm just not ready to do that growth, to do that work. So if I'm feeling that way, some of you might be feeling that way. And I want to talk about what it feels like to even feel that way. Because sometimes, right, like you're being nudged to step up for your greater good, to kind of volunteer yourself. The old Hunger Games, I volunteer as a tribute. And, you know, actually the Hunger Games thing definitely comes to a great representation of that. You don't want to, though. Like, for, you know, I'd love to know, like, how everybody else in that fictional world, when Katniss Everdeen's, like, puts up her hand and goes, I volunteer, or whatever, they're all also could have done that, and they don't because they have fear, obviously. Well, life is very much like that. Like, you might be feeling the nudge to do things more boldly and bravely and expansively, but you might have fear. And that's completely human. That is not something to be self-shaming about. There's times and occasions in your life where it makes sense to be protective of yourself. It makes sense not to stretch yourself too thin. It makes sense to develop some mastery in one area while knowing that maybe in the future there are other areas that you want to explore. I've always wanted to do things like a YouTube channel and be a live streamer and do that, but as many times that I got the energy and the momentum, and it's embarrassing to admit, but also set it up. I've told you guys in posts before about the studios and how I've set it up to do that. And I've been able to make some short courses and some video content in those studios, but I've never been able to do the actual thing I want to do like this consistently because fear, and then life. Life will decide at times what you are able or ready to do as well. And sometimes when I'm business coaching too, I talk to people about that, and they've invested themselves in a business that they really have no time for because they feel somehow like through their, like, you know, whether it's they've told this by a mentor or it's coming to them directly from source or it's them and their heart's desires truly deeply, like, or it's part of their, you know, entire soul's contract that they should be using their gifts and sharing themselves. So they have a business to do that. And it's like a side business or a hobby business, but their actual life circumstances do not actually have space for that business. And that ends up being the main reason why they can't actually follow through or do the steps required to give that business any lift. And it's really a hard thing to admit to yourself because you feel that nudge constantly, I should be doing this right now. And it doesn't fit. And so part of my reconciling is like, where did I push things aside? Where does this fit? PsyChicks has now been my full-time job for a full year. And I would be lying to tell anyone that I didn't personally have guilt every single day for after I left Kiss Cacao and decided to do this passion project of mine full-time. And I did that in the safe way where I had enough income coming in from my side hustle to make that replace the income of the full-time employment that I had. Because even though it can be confusing because I was always a freelance contractor, but they were paying me like the equivalent would be a full-time wage there. And that was just because I'm in Canada and they didn't want to have like any official employees. So everybody was a contractor. But the job I had at Keys Cacao was technically a full-time, like 8-hour a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 4 days a week job, sometimes more than that. Sometimes it was very demanding, high pressure job. I mean, it was a multi-million-dollar e-commerce business I was part of. So it was a big jump to do this full time in September last year. And this is not this September, but last year, so I'm on my full year cycle trying to do my passion project full time. And I thought I'd immediately jump in and start doing all of the amazing things that I wanted to do with it, including getting my stickers. By the way, if you're watching right now, you're still listening to me ramble, you can get yourself a sticker. Just comment you want a sticker and I'll get you one eventually on my own timeline because it's hard right now to guarantee any kind of shipping speed. Again, like I mentioned, Canada Post is on strike. But that said, I will ship out stickers. But things like that, I wanted to get into the business with a boom. And I spent the whole last year, again, recovering from working that full-time high-pressure job, reconfiguring my nervous system, and actually like being like, I only want to work 2 hours a day on this business because I have a little daughter, okay? And that's a big factor to this as well, is my daughter, she's 3 and she's starting to become more self-sustaining. But last year, even through this entire like 2025 cycle, she was little and I just wanted to enjoy her. And once I left that job and I had the membership income coming in and some of my consulting gigs and stuff, as well as my power hours, was like more than enough income coming in because my husband's working right now as well. I just kind of floated. I thought I would be super enthusiastic to be fully in PsyChicks for this first year, but I spent a year just tinkering with it. I didn't neglect it, but I tinkered with it and took a lot of time. And I am so grateful I took that time because, like I said, in the end, come September, this experience, which was waiting for me in my destiny to happen, to actually give Brandie the kick in the butt to say you're ready to do the more difficult thing, which is to actually try to build more substance into the platform and talk about things and platform other people who are going to talk about things with depth, which is going to be activating to some people, which means you may not have a massive group. You might have a more substantial substance, truly collective, truly community focused group. You may be too much for some people if you're going to do that. You're not just going to be for people who want free tarot card readings for, kicks and giggles for fun. You might not be that anymore. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with now arriving at this destiny. And I understand that this destiny was always waiting for me. And everything that happened in the last year was giving me some energy reserves to be able to kind of like bounce back and come in and actually do this now. So that's a long meandering way of saying, like, I'm here. I'm here and fully aware to what we have as potential, what to build upon. The website has a great amount of traffic, and I'd like people visiting the website to be moved to join us in conversations that have depth and substance. I would love for the people inside of this Facebook group to feel ownership of this Facebook group and safety inside of it, and don't have to like hide parts of themselves, so that the conversations we can be having, the questions people can be asking, can have depth and substance without everybody getting activated and freaking out. And like, Facebook's bad for that, because if we were in real life and you're like doing, and we will be doing more in-person mixers and meetups, because nobody would ever behave this way in real life. You're, with a group of friends and somebody says something that maybe like you haven't heard before or is a little surprising. Again, in the metaphysical topic space, there can be somebody who can share something that is completely out of the box of what you personally think or believe, and it can make you a little uncomfortable. But in those conversations, you would likely, if it was in person, engage with curiosity or be able to just like, accept that person for how they are, where they are, not try to like correct them in a series of violent comments and then say I'm out and leave that community or that group forever. But that's easy to do on Facebook. And so there's a lot of people who get away with that kind of behavior, who always have to come in with the upper hand or this defensiveness or this aggression, because they never want to be exposed to ideas that are challenging of their own ideas, but that they're proceeding on social media to look for spaces where they can just be constantly praised and validated. And that's just not going to happen if you're going into a topic that is so broad and there's so many different kind of perspectives on it. And the point is to be curious seekers, to be explorers, to not really expect to actually know, but to enjoy the process of discussing and discovering together. I mean, that's what I'm all about. That's why the community is still going to be continue to be called a casual metaphysical, casual spiritual community, because that's what we are. At the end of the day, I want people to understand it's casual, meaning we're just talking, we're just putting it out there, we're just asking questions. We're just trying to figure it out and kind of pull from a collective hive mind of knowledge and experience and background and skills and abilities. I want to check on my comments and see what kind of audience I have watching right now. If you guys have lost interest in this, I could keep going. But I definitely want to see where we're at as far as comments and viewers here, because I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Oh, there's so many comments. I can't wait to respond to them. Oh, okay. There's so many lovely comments. I'm definitely going to come and take a look at that. And the 5 people watching, thank you so much. Definitely drop comments for stickers. I'm just going to quickly here at the end. I am getting a little bit time crunched now, because I do pick my daughter up in an hour. And I have a few things I need to do before I have her home again, in case she needs all of my attention. So I'm wrapping up for that reason. But for the 5 people watching, first of all, how did I do? Okay, if you watched this whole time, I might seem like I'm okay, but deep down inside, this gives me major outside of my comfort zone anxiety. And I'm so grateful for all the nervous system work I've done on myself, and like kind of embracing my own authenticity and finding my personality, being able to just like say the things. Like, people overcomplicate channeling, because I am totally channeling right now. I am pulling from something beyond myself to be able to do this, because of Brandie and all her humanness, with all her ego and all her trauma and her hot mess of a, accumulation of many, many things, would be super self-conscious to do this. And somehow in me now, because I have asked for it and asked for the strength to do it, and I've become forgiving of myself to know that I'm never going to do this perfectly, and I'm never going to please everybody, and I'm never going to be everybody's, favorite person to look at or listen to talk. Accepting all of that and doing that work, and then you become this open channel. And I said a little prayer. It's like, I don't even know what I'm going to say today. I know I have to just start this process of being comfortable. So do it in your Facebook group where you have the most familiar people to you. I was going to start on YouTube, but doing it for nobody. For some reason, you put it up and nobody's watching. You're just hoping it's going to accumulate viewers. Doesn't make sense for somebody who actually has a platform and audience. So I'm doing it in a Facebook Live. But I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put it up on the channel. I'm going to start developing myself and my skill sets to articulate things with depth and substance that relate to my vision, that are not going to be everybody's favorite words to hear from me. And maybe I will shake the trees a bit, and that's okay. And to be okay with that, to escape, there's many layers of people pleasing, because I thought I'd evolved beyond people pleasing, just had let it go. But people pleasing shows up in interesting new ways when you're trying to do something outside of your comfort zone, because that, will they like me? Or will I be canceled? Will somebody screen grab this and take it out of context and put it on TikTok, which I was attacked from a mob on TikTok who somebody took screenshots of my posts when I was talking about the Charlie Kirk stuff, posted it on her personal TikTok and said, go get her, and sent a bunch of, basically liberal mean girls, spiritual beliefs come and attack me. So I had a wave of that happen in September. So, I mean, all the bad things also will happen to you. And then I realized, whatever bad thing can happen, which is to be, misunderstood or rejected or hurt in some way, the best way to overcome a fear of that happening to you is to actually allow it to happen to you, to live through that experience and realize you're still alive, you're still breathing, you're still okay. So, therefore, what are you even afraid of? Why would this stop you why would that experience stop you? It wasn't that bad. I mean, what power did that have over me? None, except for I was a little sad. My feelings were being hurt, but feelings get hurt, all day, all the time. You get tougher. people will reject you in life for other reasons, and you want to choose. You want to actually, like, this is, I'm not trying to preach to anybody, like, you can do what you want. But I'm telling people who are on a personal development journey, who are like hearing me and seeing me in themselves, this very interesting thing, which is you want to choose your own adventure with that, right? So let the worst possible thing in the world happen to you. Let your whole world fall apart. If you have a fear of something that's blocking you because you're like, oh, if I say this thing on Facebook, it's going to annoy the 5 people from high school that I'm still friends with, do it. Let it happen. Let them be mad. Let them unfriend you. Let it all happen. Let it all fall apart. Because that fear then will dissolve and you'll realize, I don't even know why I was afraid to begin with. There is nothing on the other side of fear for me. And so when bad things, even I lost a substantial number of members in my collective, which means I lost a substantial amount of income. I replaced that income very quickly with some freelance work to make sure that like our family and my quality of life was not affected by the things that I did. And I actually felt really good because I replaced what was essentially like 15 people who had been already energy vampiric on my life, who already were not really with the program or in the bus. They were kind of just like trying to like hang on to the side of the bus, using that metaphor again. And so they went away. I lost the income from them going away, replaced it with one client that was like a substantially better opportunity for me, that it created some more reliable income. I'm getting a few people reaching out to me to work on their projects freelance, but I'm trying to keep my eye on the ball here with PsyChicks, so I'm floating them. But good things happened when bad things happened as a reaction to the bad thing happening, and that will always be the case, and it does like not happen on your timeline. So I'm lucky it happened quickly, which I'm kind of a master manifester. Things tend to happen quickly for me when I start to like recalibrate and realign. But I do a lot of meditation, prayer, ongoing dialogue with God to ask for these things to happen. So it tends to be an accelerated everything. But in your life, when you are worried about bad things happening, let the bad thing happen. Just let the bad thing happen. Especially if it's a particularly kind of like it's always on your mind and it's blocking you. If it's a particularly painful block because it's keeping you from doing what you truly want to do, and it's holding you back and making you feel some form of like internal anxiety that like there's this impending doom always waiting around the corner, let that doom hit. This is just from lived experience. Let the doom be dooming. Because what comes out of it is just this beautiful level of personal growth. And you will find that even if there has been times in my life where I had no money coming in, I understand what it's like when people lose jobs. There's times where my marriage, my relationship has been so on the rocks that I don't know, like, if we should be getting divorced or separated. I have had friendships that I thought were lost forever because of things that I did or said on the internet, or things that I did or said when I was hurting, when I wasn't completely self-aware of myself because I was just, reacting to a lot of difficult things. So I understand what it can feel like at the most deep, like, Brandie's saying, let the doom, and sometimes the doom is like, it's everything. And every time that I've gone through that, whether it reconfigures itself in a year, or it reconfigures itself in a month, or it reconfigures itself the next day, or it wasn't as scary to begin with, I understand like why it's so hard to encounter that. But I'm telling you, let it happen. Let it fall apart. Because whatever is valuable or substantial will be right behind that, waiting for you. Whatever the actual true thing that you are like meant for, or you're chasing, or you feel drawn towards, there's all sorts of chaotic, emotionally impactful things that are going to be blocking that. We all talk about blocks, but that's the literal block. Whatever you're afraid of is the literal block. One of my favorite expressions is, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of your, like, outside of your comfort zone. It lives outside of your comfort zone. And I teach that, I preach that, I live that, and yet I'm not immune to it. It still happens to me where I hit things and I'm just like, I don't want to go through this right now. But through it is where you find your power and strength. And I invite anybody who's feeling that right now, who's like, I'm too afraid of insert thing, just go right through it. Just plow through it, and let the, The powers that be. Reconfigure your destiny. Whew. See, that's nervous system regulation right there. I'm literally coming down from this. Okay, so I do want to plug right now my new my mini masterclass. Okay, when I say it's mini, it takes only an hour, but it is a masterclass, and in it I teach everything that I do on Facebook. I've never shared this so blatantly before. Again, I had another fear block. I also was like, well, I just do. It's just natural. But there was a lot of things that I wasn't willing to explain, and I was able to hammer that out, and it flowed really nicely based on where I am, because honestly, whatever, like, buy it, check it out. It's going to change everything for you. I reach hundreds of thousands of people through my unique behaviors on Facebook. And that is one of the main reasons why, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's been PsyChicks or my various other ventures, I've been able to fully support myself online. How I've been able to find opportunities, how I got all of the clients I've ever had for anything that I've ever sold. I have done these steps, and so I have revealed it all, and it is a combination of strategic organic marketing and intention and mindset behavior, so you need to do both. It does demystify the algorithm, and I've tried to make it so simple, so even if you're not a tech nerd, I'm basically correcting the misconceptions and explaining to you why things work the way they do. And it gets right down to, if you are in a Facebook group trying to get lift on your post and your post is failing, why that is and what you need to do to assure your future posts do not flop like that, how to increase reach and momentum, how to be a engaging, popular character on social media to actually accumulate a following. And then I factored in some of the new features that Facebook has given us as gifts if you switch over to creator profile. So my mini masterclass, if you want it, it is a juicy gem. I have priced it at a decent enough price that I think anybody, even a small business owner, can invest in it. And obviously you can write that off on your small business taxes, so it costs you zero. You should have, if you have a business, like you're actually trying to run a real business, you're not just like dicking around, you should be able to buy things like this, keep the invoice, and therefore like use it as a tax write-off. So I've priced it at $49.99, and I priced it for beginners, and I want to encourage people to stop wasting their own time through this. If you're using Facebook trying to find clients and customers for your business on Facebook and you don't know these basic fundamentals, you are like disrespecting yourself by wasting your energy. And I'm just being blunt about it, because I get messages on a weekly basis, not daily, but weekly, somebody telling me the algorithm's being mean to them, that like somehow they have been shadow banned, or all these like misconceptions. And then when I look at what they're doing, if I do give it any time, I notice they're doing all of the most common like mistakes that would be preventing that from happening, and would be causing that to happen. Sorry, would be causing their reach to be reduced by Facebook. So I taught some Facebook 101 basics in a mini masterclass, but it's so much more than the 101 basics. It's exactly what I do, exactly what I know works. And I finally poured it out of me to get it out into the world, because that's the first thing if you want to, whether you're going to come into PsyChicks as a member of the PsyChicks Collective, or you just want to know so you're not disrespecting yourself by wasting your own time. And now it exists, and I love how it exists. It came together beautifully. It's a mini masterclass. 1 hour of your time to do this, then immediate implementation steps. You don't have to wait. So your whole world could be turned around by this training. And I'm not overselling it. It will be turned around by this training if what I'm talking about hits you and you think somehow that you have become like, rejected by the algorithm, or that there's no way that you are going to have success on social media with your business, because it's just not happening. I'm guessing that there's a lot of people out there, because of how this group has been built, that have their own spiritual businesses, these hobby businesses, these side hustles, or full-time even, who really still are struggling to kind of get any kind of legs on social. So I am teaching everything I know. Facebook mastery. Facebook's my number one platform. I've deleted TikTok. I haven't looked at my Instagram in months. I am focused 100% because this is what I know really well, and still what suits and serves me. I mean, there's more than enough to do here. PsyChicks itself is expanding into panels and more substantial content that is going to exist on YouTube once I get this live streaming thing like really good and comfortable, I am going to move into Rumble. I have so many cool ideas for how the collective members can be engaging on live streams with me. And like, I don't know, sky's the limit. But first I'm figuring this new like platform style, communication style out, learning something new here. You know, it's crazy. I just want to say one last thing before we go. I have not had the best stick with itness on certain things, like TikTok. I mean, I rose on TikTok. I did have about 13,000 followers on TikTok that I worked on learning. I study things. I watch YouTubers and stuff who talk about the algorithms, talk about how to grow, and then I apply this stuff and I grow. And so then I built these platforms, and I have not had the best stick with itness. I have been somebody who like has the experience, and then I get there and I'm like, I don't want this. This is not what I want. I love to pursue a new experience and like get to a certain point and then decide that it's not it. And all the while having that bad habit, I'm never doing the thing I actually want to do, which is talk about the stuff that I love, that I'm interested in, with other people who actually like would want to have those conversations with me. I can take myself on a side quest away from the things that I actually feel called towards for fear of failing in the thing that I really want to be doing. And so that's the whole theme of this conversation, is I really see it now. I really see, you know, everything from like setting up studios to having a kind of like start and stop when it comes to YouTube, to going off on side quests and doing things like just like building up on TikTok and then going, I don't even really want to be on TikTok. Why am I doing this? And it's all distractions and side quests, because like PsyChicks is my dream. It's what I've wanted to do. I've wanted to build this community. I always, ever since people left the forums I used to hang out on, the Metaphysical forums where it was more casual, more relaxed, and got into Facebook groups. And then Facebook groups became all about selling things and making money, and everybody had a thing to shill, and there was no communities or spaces that I felt like any fun. I always had this idea. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if... what if about this thing? And then like PsyChicks, I actually jumped into it. And then I've told you guys this before, for the first year, I wasn't a big part of it. I just let other people kind of play in the playground, and I owned it and ran the ads. So I am finally able to live completely inside of the thing that I've always wanted. And the biggest practice now is the discipline to actually do it in the real way. And so I share that with you, a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of truth. Sometimes truth is tough to come upon when it's involving yourself and your bad habits, and things that you avoid and that you're afraid of. And it's always like, because you want it so much, the fear of like getting close to it and not getting it is too painful. That's the actual thing, right? Like a good example is like, say you really, really like somebody, you really have a crush on them, you really love them, but you're afraid to make a move because if you did that and they rejected you, that fantasy, that dream would be over. Well, in life, we do that with ourselves, with our businesses, with our different ventures. It's not just relationships that as humans have this avoidant behavior. We are really, really afraid, if we create a vision so grandeur in our minds, to embrace actually encountering that vision. Because what if it doesn't work out? What if you fail in your efforts? What if you like get there and it's not what you expected? Then that fantasy that you're so invested in, it goes away, and then you don't know what's after that because you actually want it and love it so bad. So that's me. That's my truth. And I'm so excited to be able to articulate myself, to be free from the fear of saying these things and having something bad happen. There is nothing bad left to happen to me. And I am very free right now. I feel very free and in flow and open. And I want to get other people to that space. I'm passionate about getting other people to that space. Although I feel like a beginner again, moving into this new era, and I feel like a lot of things have fallen apart that need to be reconstructed. There's so many things in my history that have put me parallel to have this experience. Sign up for some panels. Come, join us. Watch these panels. There's 2 replays of the previous panels. Go check those out. Then, please come to a future panel. I'm announcing a new one today, but we have 2 already scheduled for the next couple of weeks. There's a break here this weekend because I'm traveling for my son's hockey, so there's none happening this weekend, but there are panels next week too. And they're going to be substantial and wonderful and real content, not just a Facebook group you can endlessly scroll in and answer redundant questions. Although do post in this Facebook group and ask redundant questions, because that's what keeps it alive. Got to keep that ball in the air. So I do want to see more questions, more engagement from other people other than me. Share in your most unhinged, metaphysical, super niche memes. We all love them. Post it. Post it whether you're a collective member or you are somebody just here for the kicks. Thank you so much. Come join me on my magic bus. I am so excited. Are you excited? Did I get you hyped? Comment below. Much love to all of you. Have a wonderful Friday. Bye.